Hello and welcome to the final day of November. This is insane. December is tomorrow. I'm just gonna sit with that for a second. Anyway, let's talk about the books that I read in the month of November. And I had a really good reading month. A lot of these books are 4 stars or above. Personally, I am very generous with my star rating, apparently. And then today, actually, so technically today's November 29th. Tomorrow is the final day of November, but I'm going to be posting this video tomorrow. So whenever you see this, it is the final day of November. You know what I mean? This is a weird fourth wall thing. Anyway, so first up in the month, I read Next of Kin by Hannah Bonham Young. I listened to this audio because I don't remember what I was doing. I think I was decorating my office or something, but I listened to this audio and it was unexpectedly emotional because so she finds out that her mom has a baby or is pregnant, I should say. She finds out her mom is pregnant. Her mom who kind of ditched her when she was younger and only calls her when she needs help. And so she comes to the hospital. Her now baby sister is in the NICU and she needs to come up with something with Child Protective Services, basically, and she takes custody of this child. But she can't afford to be a single parent to her little sister at 23 or however old she is. So she makes a deal with CPS and another family that's going through, custodial things and moves in with Warren and his brother who is deaf. So anyway, this story was so cute. They kind of get into this domestic partnership situation. It was so cute. I give it 4 stars. I don't honestly remember why I gave it 4 stars, but I remember just really loving how they fell into a routine. And of course they fell for each other. And I love a man who will tell his woman exactly how he's feeling. I can't stand these, read my mind type of men. No, go ahead and tell her, use your words. You are a grown adult. Anyway, I give it 4 stars. I thought it was really cute. Next up, I read The Serpent and the Wings of Night. And because I also literally just finished reading The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, I'm going to talk about both of these together because I can't tell you what this is about anyway, But this is the first duet in the Crowns of Nyaxia series, Crowns of Nyaxia. And this series follows Araya. I'm saying her name wrong. I apologize. But it follows Araya and Rain. Araya is the daughter of the vampire king, but she's human. So the king saves her from something and brings her to the castle, if you would, and raises her as his daughter and, teaches her how to keep herself safe from the vampires. He continuously reminds her that she is human, she is weak, she's a little serpent. That nickname still gives me the creeps, but whatever. And she decides to enter into this competition to win. What is it? Oh yeah. She enters this competition, the Kajari, which is a tournament so she can win this bond to be bonded to her dad, to prove to her dad, her adopted dad, of course, that she is, as powerful and as strong as she can be. And of course, she is in this competition with vampires from the other 3 houses. And it's just anyway, in this competition, she meets Rain, who is the Rishon, I believe. Again, can't say these names, but they meet. He's very dangerous. He's like, nope, stay away from me. I'm gunning for you. And there's a lot more to the story, but she meets Rain in this competition. Just stuff happens. And there's 2 books. So I literally just finished this book, which I will have a wrap up in bookmas day 5. I believe. I don't remember. I read book 2 during my 24-hour readathon, which will be coming up later in December. And I'm so glad that I read these in the month of November. So the first book I give 4 stars just because it was I don't know. But this book was so good, so fast paced. I love when I'm just sucked into the book. And maybe it's because I read it I was trying to read it in 24 hours and I read it in I don't remember how many hours I read it in, but this was a 5-star read. I also listened to 6 Scorched Roses, which I don't have the physical copy with me, but it is the novella in between this book. And it was just a really short novella about a different vampire and a different story basically, but in the same universe. And I thought that was very entertaining. I'm so excited. I want to get the next books in these series. So the second duet after this, and I want to read that. Hopefully, okay, maybe not in December, but soon, you know, because these were so good. Vampires, I have not read a book about vampires in so long, so I'm so glad. I'm so glad I got to read these. So next up in November, I ended up reading Wrecked by Lauren Asher, which is book 3 in the Dirty Air series, as well as Redeemed by Lauren Asher, which is book 4 in the Dirty Air series. If you recall, I loved book 1 of this series, but absolutely hated book 2 of this series. So I honestly just wanted to get this over with so I could be done with it in 2025. I didn't want to take the series with me into 2026 because I feel like if I got to 2026, I probably just would DNF the series. But I did end up liking book 3. I thought Jax's story, addiction, very self-destructive behavior, that was very like emotional, and I was like, oh my goodness, darn. But I genuinely really enjoyed Redeemed. So I remember in book 1 when Santiago had made a really dumb mistake while driving the F1 car, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's gonna happen, isn't it? And something similar happens, and yeah, he ends up, yeah. And it was very, very, not the YouTube ads interrupting me, duh. But yeah, this book was really funny. I loved Chloe and like her journey to find her dad, but you know, that story was also really sad. I don't know, I really enjoyed this story. Like, this one was okay, very emotional, but okay. This one was funny, and like, I enjoyed it. Overall, I would say the Dirty Air series, I don't even know, because I don't know. I will continue to read Lauren Asher's books, but like, the stories are entertaining, you know? I don't know why I'm yapping about this too much. We're gonna move on. Next up in November, I read Curvy Girl Summer by Danielle Allen. This book was hilarious. I gave it 5 stars. Aaliyah and Ahmad are so freaking cute. I love a good friends to lovers story, and I love a good, just like, very, very protective best friend. You know what I mean? And like, of course, we know that they were crushing on each other, but like, so Aaliyah comes to this restaurant across her street for a blind date that was set up. She gets stood up, of course. So Ahmad is the bartender there, and he's like, what's up? You guys stood up on a date or something? And she's like, yeah, you know, I'm getting back into the dating scene, whatever. And so they basically strike up a deal. So they become friends, but they strike up a deal that she would bring all of her first dates to this restaurant so that he can be her wingman, if you would. And like, as we know, when attraction exists, why are you wingmanning, you know? Anyway, I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was like the perfect, obviously we're not in summer anymore, but I thought it was like the perfect little like summer read to end off fall, if you would. It's snowing today. We're in winter now. So yeah, I thought it was a really nice ray of sunshine, if you would. So yeah, I love that book. I can't wait. I want to buy the physical copy because I want to reread it. I thought that, like, that's one of the cutest little stories that I've read in a long time. So yeah. Next up, I read The Perfect Divorce by Geneva Rose. I have read The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose, and this is basically a continuation of that, where the wife, Sarah, is remarried, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on. Yeah, so Sarah Morgan defended Adam Morgan when he murdered his mistress 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and she's now remarried, and her new husband, Bob, gets involved in something else. Honestly, let me tell you something. I literally don't remember anything else that happened in this book. Basically, it's suspicious that Sarah is at the center of it all, but she's an attorney. She is like, you know, but I will say I love how cool this book looks. Like, I love that. So now I really want to get The Perfect Marriage in hardcover with the sprayed edges as well. But yeah, this book was a 3-star. It's fine. It's like, it's a thriller and it's entertaining enough that I recommend it. So yeah. Next up, I read The Partner Plot by Christina Forrest. This is book 2 in the Green Sisters books. The first one was The Neighbor Favor. So this is a marriage of convenience, or hold on, is it a marriage of convenience? I don't even remember. But these two are high school sweethearts, and they break up. I don't even remember the reason why they break up, but they go their separate ways. It's years now, and they run into each other in Vegas, and they wake up the next morning married. And yeah, so it was a second chance romance. They decide to keep the facade of being married instead of, you know, getting it annulled. And yeah, I thought it was really cute. I think his name is Xavier. Xavier and Violet. I thought they were really cute. Oh, I remember they both were focused on their careers. Like they both independently of each other were very hardworking and very focused on their careers, which was fantastic. I can't stand books where one of them is focused and has all these ambitions and things, and the other one is kind of just there like, yep, that's my husband or that's my wife. You know, that pisses me off. So yeah, I thought this was really cute. I gave it 4 stars. Honestly, I feel like it's a 5-star read, but I don't know why I didn't give it 5 stars. So I gave it 4 stars. So yep. Next up, I read The Butcher and the Wren by this author who I genuinely cannot pronounce. And this was Criminal Minds in a book. You remember how when I read the Mind F series, I was like, those are mini Criminal Minds episodes? Yes, this was also Criminal Minds in a book. And the end of this, anyway, the moral of the story is I cannot wait to read the sequel of this story. So Dr. Wren Muller is a, what are they called? What is it called? Forensic pathologist. And she works in the ME's office, the medical examiner's office. Anyway, so she starts solving this case that is very, very reminiscent of a case that happened in the past. And I'm going to leave it at that because, yeah, there's more to it. But basically, she cracks the case, you know? The end of it is very, the end of it ended like a Criminal Minds episode. This entire thing was a Criminal Minds episode. So, yeah, I cannot wait to read the sequel. And I can't listen to true crime podcasts anymore because I used to listen to true crime podcasts and I would have nightmares. So I can't do it anymore. So I just read books now that remind me of Criminal Minds. Yeah, but this was a 5-star. This is one of the only thrillers that I really gave a 5-star because, yeah, for the most part, they're predictable, but this was not predictable. And like I said, I cannot wait to read the sequel because there is a major, yeah. Next up, I finally was able to continue the Simple Wild series. So I read Wild at Heart by K.A. Tucker as well as Running Wild by K.A. Tucker. So Wild at Heart follows Kala, I still don't know how to say her name, and Jonah, who in the Simple Wild meet when she goes to Alaska to see her dad who is dying, you know, and then they fall in love and then she moves back to Toronto and that's how the Simple Wild ends. But Wild at Heart is like kind of them figuring out their life together, who's moving where, you know, how are they gonna go through their life, whatever. I thought it was really good. I give it 4 stars just because like I remember the Simple Wild was a 5-star read right away. Like I had all the emotions, and then this one was just like it's literally taken me all year to get to this book. And then Running Wild follows Jonah's best friend, and the entire time Kala has been in the picture, she's been like, hey, your best friend's in love with you, by the way. And like, not wrong. You know, if Marie was also mentioned in book 1, but yeah, like she definitely had feelings for Jonah, and then, you know, she meets somebody else and blah blah blah. But this is Jonah's this story follows Jonah's best friend, and it's really cute, and I loved it. I also gave it 4 stars. But yeah, I'm glad. Technically, I'm not done with the series because I still have Forever Wild, which is the little novella, but it is a holiday novella, so I plan to read it in December. So by the end of the year, I should be done with this series, and I'm so excited. Also, I love that these have the mountains, and they're so pretty. Like they're so pretty, but yeah, love these books. I finally was able to start Throne of Glass. So I read Throne of Glass and I gave this book 4 stars. So this follows, I'm sure we all know what Throne of Glass is about, but it follows Selena, who comes to the castle and fights in a tournament, and I think she wins the tournament. I honestly do not remember the end of this book. And I think that is my own just mehness about Sarah J. Maas and like getting into her series, but I do plan to continue the series. So I am planning to read 1 book at a time whenever I feel like it. I did start with Throne of Glass, and I'm going to read Crown of Midnight, the 3rd one, and then Assassin's Blade. That's the order that I saw someone say I should read it in. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I did start filming my reaction. So you'll probably see like a Throne of Glass part 1 reading vlog, and then maybe a Throne of Glass part 2 reading vlog, or like maybe I'll film the tandem read something like that. So you'll probably see me doing that. But there will be a Throne of Glass reading vlog. But like I said, I give it 4 stars. It was okay. I am hoping that with more books, I will love the series the way other people love it. So yeah, yeah. Next up, and this was purely for nostalgia's sake, I reread The Selection by Kiera Cass. And let me tell you, I am almost 30. Like, I turned 30 in 19 days. And there was no need for me to be reading The Selection by Kiera Cass. But because I reread the Shatter Me series earlier, I genuinely am just like, yeah, I'm going to reread some of my absolute favorite books that I loved as when I was younger, and The Selection was that. This book was a 5-star read, and I was not surprised. America Singer is one of the selection, one of the 23 who were selected to come to the castle and basically go on dates with the prince and see who he will select to be his bride. And right away, she's like, I don't like you. I don't want to be here. And they basically strike a deal that they would just be friends and he will keep her there until, or for as long as possible, because he understands that her family needs the money and all these things. And there are different castes in this world. Like, she's a 5, I believe, or a 4, 5, whatever. She's not one of the elites, you know, the elites, the ones I believe is the royal family. The 2s are the elites. Then, you know, it goes down. I think she's a 5, and she has a boyfriend, Aspen, a secret boyfriend, who is a 6. But yeah, she gets somehow convinced to enter the selection, and then she does, and she gets selected, and she goes to the prince. And like I said, I thought this book is so funny. Like, it's a young adult, so it's very chill, very easy to follow, but it is so funny and I loved it so much. So I'm not gonna do a whole The Selection reading vlog because that's not necessary, but I will be rereading this series, I think, just one at a time as I feel like it. So yeah, I'm so glad I reread this. Next up, and I'm actually quite surprised that I haven't read this before, or maybe I did, but very, very, very long time ago, but I read Animal Farm by George Orwell. And let me tell you, in 2025, yep, no wonder this is on the banned books list. But yeah, this book was a 5 out of 5 star read. If you do not know what Animal Farm is about, basically the animals on this farm, Animal Farm, are mistreated, they're overworked, so they decide to rise up and take over, ruling themselves basically, and they kick the human owners out, and they kind of form this utopia that they love. But as time goes on, corruption and just money, capitalism, you know what I mean? All these things kind of infiltrate their happy little animal utopia all over again. So they're just slowly going backwards in time, or they slowly go backwards in all the progress they made. And it was it is such a true representation of society. And it is really sad, because when was this book written? 1946. This book was written in 1946. It is 2025. We are living in a fucking dystopia. I kid you not. We are retaking an open book exam where we have countless examples of what not to do, and we are failing miserably. Anyway, we're going to move on to another book that also pissed me off. This book was a 5-star read. This was Bloodmarked by Tracy Dion, and another book where in 2025, everything's about racism. Everything. I am in school right now. We are having lots of discourse around racism, and it is quite... But yeah, anyway, this book is amazing. I will not tell you what Bloodmark specifically is about, but Legendborn, which is book 1 in this series, follows Brianna. She is a high school, I think, gifted high schooler. She makes her way into this program for gifted high schoolers and somehow stumbles upon this secret society called the Legendborn. And the legend, I guess, of the Legendborn follows descendants and descendants of, did I just say descendants and descendants of? I did. But it follows descendants of King Arthur. And basically, the legend of King Arthur, the Knights at the Round Table, the Scions, all these things related to King Arthur and Excalibur, and it follows that. So Bree somehow stumbles upon the secret society of, you know, the legend born, the descendants of King Arthur. She meets Will, and Will gets her indoctrinated. I don't remember the word, but Will gets her into the society, and then shit starts happening right away. Yeah, book 1 ended on a cliffhanger because Bree finds out something pretty significant. Also, Bree's mother is dead, so the reason she ends up in this society is because she's trying to figure out why her mom was killed, because she thinks her mom was killed. So yeah, I can't tell you much more about that, but this book 2, had some moments that I genuinely was like, yep, we're in 2025 and it is still happening. Yeah, and yeah, this one also ended on a cliffhanger. Oathbound, which is book 3 in the series, finally got available on audio for me to listen to on Libby. So I'm thinking I'm going to listen to this pretty soon, but I also want to purchase Oathbound. I turn 30 soon, and low-key, I want to buy 30 books for my 30th birthday. We will see if I decide to do that. We'll see. Moving on, this Bloodmarked was a 5 out of 5 read, by the way. Fantastic. Moving on, I read Only for the Weak by Natasha Bishop. This book, sexy and so satisfying, is absolutely correct. Oh my goodness. But so this book follows Janelle, whose ex-boyfriend is actually marrying her sister. So they're on a destination wedding to Tulum, and everyone is basically tiptoeing around her and is like, oh my goodness, I hope you're okay. And her mom is very toxic. Like, there's a lot of toxic family situations happening as well. Her sister pissed me off. Anyway, but yeah, so she's the bridesmaid to her sister, right, who's getting married. And when she gets to Tulum, she is obviously stressed because her sister is being bridezilla of the decade. So Rome, who's the best man, decides to say, I can relieve your stress, girl. I'll be a stress reliever for you in Tulum. And what we have can only last for a week. So it can be only for the week while we're in Tulum, and then we move on. You know, and of course that doesn't happen. Friends with Ben, come on now. But yeah, I thought this was really good. The end, I literally was like, yes, queen. She stood up to her parents. She stood up to her mom, especially. I don't think her dad was really, anyway, she stood up to her mom. She stood up to her sister. She stood up to her. And Rome was like, he's a billionaire. He's like, I want to take care of you. You have dreams. I want to make them happen. And I'm just like, yes. Can I please have a Rome? I want a Rome. I want a Rome. Please and thank you. Look how fine this man is. Anyway, it was really good. I loved it. Absolutely fantastic. 5 stars. Next up, I finally finished Best Laid Plans by Aaron Hawkins. I swear, I started... Let me be clear, this book is only for the vibes. This book is not a plot book. So I started reading this a long time ago, like a month and a half ago, and I didn't finish it, probably because the vibes were done. Anyway, I had read this book previously, and I don't remember what I gave it, but this time around I gave it 4 stars. It was entertaining. Yeah. Now we're going to talk about the holiday books that I read in the month of November, because 4 out of these I read just in the past couple days because I did a 24-hour readathon. That video will come up in the month of December, but this I didn't read during the readathon. But I read Only for the Holidays by Abiola Bello. I won this book, I believe, on Fable, like a Fable giveaway last year, and I was going to read it, but I simply was not in the mood to read holiday books in December, probably because I had just had surgery and all I wanted to do was sleep. So yeah, but I finally got to read this month, and this book follows whatever the hell his name is, Quincy, I believe, and he and his family runs this ranch, and then she and her family decide to take time off and come to this ranch. She's 17, he's 17, I believe, and she just went through a break with her current boyfriend because her boyfriend's like, we need a break, and she's like, I've always been there for you. I thought you were about to say you love me. I've told you I love you, but you haven't said it back. So she genuinely thought her boyfriend was about to tell her that he loves her, but instead he's like, actually I need a break. And she's been planning his birthday party and all these things. So it's just like she definitely needed to get away. And then she meets Quincy. She and Quincy enter this fake dating relationship because he told his family that he was going to be bringing a girl to their like ball situation, but he also just broke up with his girlfriend. The moral of the story is they're 17, they're teenagers. There's a lot of teenage angst, and this happens during the holidays. So I gave this book 3.5 stars because, like I said, it was young adult, but it was entertaining. You know what I mean? Next up, I listened to One Day in December by Josie Silver. She meets this random dude on the bus or across the bus. They lock eyes, and she is like, oh my goodness, get on the bus. And he doesn't, obviously. But she spends the next year searching every bus stop, trying to find this man. And obviously she does. doesn't, but then her best friend introduces her new boyfriend who she's so excited and so in love with, and who does it happen to be but her mystery busman. So they basically go through the next decade of their lives in this, like, she recognized him, he says he doesn't recognize her, and he's with her best friend for years and years, so she gets into a relationship for years and years, and it's just this back and forth. I thought the ending of this book was really cute, like the radio show, that was so cute. But yeah, I did really dislike the almost like pining after for a decade. That part I don't really like, but the book was cute, so yeah. And then I also read Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey in my 24-hour readathon. This book was a good time. You know, Stella just got out of prison and she's in New York, and she stops by this window of like a high-end boutique, and she's looking at it, and this guy comes up to her and he's like, what do you think? And she's like, nah, I don't really like it. And he's like, interesting, tell me more. And she's like, leave me alone, stranger. And he's like, well, tell me what you would do differently since you don't like it. Anyway, so she tells him, and he's like, all right, sounds good, you're hired, basically. And yeah, so also turns out he's really hot and she is like, all right, sounds good. But he's her boss. They sign a love contract. It's a whole thing. It's very cute. It was very entertaining. I give it 4 stars. There were like sub stories. So the found family in this was so good. I love that. The story with her best friend I felt was very unfinished. So that part I don't like, but overall I gave the book a 4 stars. I thought it was entertaining. And then next up I read these two. I read A Merry Little Meet Cute and A Holly Jolly Ever After. I thought these books were so hilarious. Sierra Simone and Julie Murphy are so funny. So A Merry Little Meet Cute follows a plus-size adult film star who wants to kind of branch out of the adult film industry and do just like a regular Christmas movie. And she is on set with her childhood boy band crush. Basically, B and Nolan is her boy band crush, meet, and he has been watching her content on the internet. And so he is just like, and yeah, anyway, sparks fly, things happen, spicy, very entertaining. Loved it. I love the end of this book. And then this follows a different member of the boy band. This follows Callum and Winnie. So Winnie is like a child star actress. She has been in many movies, many Christmas movies on this like channel. And she got married at 18. She grew up in a very religious family, married at 18, was not happy, found out her husband was cheating, filed for divorce. Her parents are like, no, don't divorce him. And it's just like, there's a lot of religious trauma. So she decides to star in an adult movie. with Callum. And Callum is like, all right, bet. And she's like, I've never had an O before. And he goes, well, you have to do research. And well, obviously they do research. So yeah, I thought it was funny. I love the parallels between these two because this was almost like a reverse of this, but both of them were hilarious. The banter in these books are hilarious. There are so many queer characters in these books, and I am just so excited. I know there are other books, like there are novellas in this series, so I can't wait to find the novellas. I don't own them, so I'm probably going to find them on audio and listen to them, but I'm so glad that I finally read these. I'm so glad. But yeah, those are the books that I read in the month of November. And yes, it's weird because you're going to see the reading vlog for these books in December, but yeah, I think after the month of December, because of bookmas, because I'm trying to film ahead of time because I'm still in school, unfortunately. So it'll be quite challenging to be able to film and upload as quickly as videos need to come out in bookmas to do the 12 days of bookmas. But that's besides the point. I'm just so glad that I read such good books this month. I think I read 23 books so far this month, and I might read one more tomorrow, but we'll see. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this reading recap. I cannot wait to see you in bookmas, which will be tomorrow. So yeah, I will see you tomorrow for bookmas day 1. Yeah.